Okay, so on page 1, we have the good. And the good talks about the good thing about kids' fitness is that we'll have increased fitness associated with higher academic achievement. So it's believed that the kids who are fit will have high academic achievements, and 92% of teens believe they should receive daily physical education, that's PE. 98% of parents think daily physical activity helps children to do better, academically, and should be part of the curriculum. That's research that has been done out there. Then 76% of parents think more PE could help prevent childhood obesity. And from 2006 to 2010, the number of states, so these are research that was done across most of the developed countries who are so much and so good in long-term athletic development pathway. So you can see statistics that was done, the research that was done from 2006 to 2010. And this research, the leading long-term athletic development pathway platform is mostly World Rugby. They have a good research in it, and also National Strength and Conditioning Association of America and American Council on Exercise, which is a US thing. So these are research that have been done there, and they are being used across different sports, different federations, and also developed sports academies and sports centers and high-performing centers. So the bad about the kids not training is that slide, that should be page 2, Mr. Gola. Okay, before he puts it up, let's I have it on my side, so hoping that he gets it right. The bad about the physical activity is that the physical activity declines steadily during adolescence. So I think we can all agree that physical activity will definitely decline during adolescence if the kids are not involved as we grow up. So mostly the kids are not getting out to play much, and we have so much boundaries, we have so much walls coming up of late as opposed to what we used to have when we were growing up. About another thing about the bad side of the physical activity is that students, about 60 to 80% of students do not meet recommended presidential awards levels. So we used to have presidential awards levels that used to test the kids. Okay, I know some of the schools are still doing it. Not all schools are doing it, and it's a bit crazy things to organize. So most of the teachers do run away from them. So unless you go to private schools and also maybe international schools, we have such still. But it was a platform that was meant to help kids gain fitness and also maintain fitness. So we have that. And also another bad side of it is that most of the students nowadays, most of the young ones, the kids spend a lot of time just idling at home. So that's one of the bad things that we have about kids. And also we have overweight coming up, creeping in, and also that comes from the poor diet. And youth obesity is currently going up, and the research says from the clinical platforms talks about 17%, as you can see down there. If you look at the bad, we are down at about youth obesity is about 17%. So the research are backed up by the, and we still have the bad at the tail end of it, the 43% of states, that's about 22 in the US, allow online courses for required PE. So long-term athletic development pathway involves or revolves around kids' fitness to stardom. And also it's a research across nation states from US, Europe, West, South Africa has it, and also Arabic countries up there in Africa, they're using this model to introduce fitness to kids as early as 2 years. Let's go down to the ugly, Mr. Gola. This is just taking you through what you're expecting, the things that we're going to discuss, they're coming our way. But we just want to understand first before we move into the actual fitness program for the kids, what we need to do, what we need to understand about the kids. So the ugly Approximately 10% of children aged 2 to 5 years are overweight. I'm sure around you, in your surroundings, you can see that. It's something that's obvious. Children who are overweight by the age of 8 are 80% more likely to become overweight or obese adults. That's a fact. It's out there. 85% of children diagnosed with type 2 diabetes are overweight or obese. It's out there. Obese children ages between 5 to 10 years are now at risk for cardiovascular disease. It's quite shocking that out there right now, we have kids at that age being diagnosed with cardiovascular diseases. Quite crazy. People will ask why and how, but it's happening. So 60% have at least one CVD risk factor. Those are cardiovascular diseases. And 25% have 2 or more cardiac CVD. Then scroll up by 2018, that's about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, estimated medical expenses due to obesity in the US was about 21%. So when you talk about US, when you talk about Europe, when you talk about Africa, we must also understand that someone might ask, why is more about the US research and everything? Remember about in Kenya, we still don't have good researchers in matters fitness, and even our health ministry, I'm sorry to say this, are not aware about our fitness industry. So we have fitness trainers well qualified, but we don't have the parameters. Also, we don't have the research tools from the ministry. They have them, but we can't access them. And also at times it's difficult to understand what's happening in the country. So, but also lifestyle is universal, something we need to understand. And, in Africa, we have high society network, the guys who are up there, then we have the middle class, the upper middle class. So lifestyle is universal. So, and we have the guys below the poverty line. So it's a bit crazy, it's a bit mashed up, but everything that we get in the US stores, we are getting them now right in Kenya. Okay, let's go to page 4, Mr. Yeah, so now if you go down there, you can see if kids don't become physically active, they are likely to have shorter lifespan than their parents. Okay? If kids don't become physically active, they are likely to have shorter lifespan than their parents. Let's go down, Mr. So we have complications faced by children with obesity. So we have the psychosocial effects and stigma. You know, if you go out there in the fields, in the schools, the kids who are big, overweight, you can see what's happening with them. They are not socially fit, and they tend to stay away from the parks. And eating disorders and poor self-esteem, sleep disorders, asthma, hypertension, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, hepatic steatosis, liver, and also orthopedic complications. So those are things with children with obesity, and this gives us the reason why we should be training these kids as early as they can jump, they can run, they can sit down, and they can come up. Yeah, so physical education redefined PE. So misconception, it's a grave mistake to submit children to the training program of adults. After all, children are not simply little adults. So we need to understand that. And these are, someone came up with it in 2000, Mr. Bompa. It's a grave mistake to submit children to training programs of adults. So now this is where the fitness trainers are coming in. These are the time fitness trainers get challenged. Because for sure, if you don't understand strength and conditioning, which long-term athletic development pathway is a part of it, then it's likely you are going to feel the challenge, you're going to have difficulty training these kids. And at times we tend to think they're big adults and get them involved with some stuff that they should not be doing. So as we go down, we're going to go deeper into this, how to go about it. So let's scroll down, Mr. Gola. Yeah, so aims and goals for youth fitness. Aim, learning to move. Okay, so strength and conditioning coaches. There's a bigger difference between strength training and strength and conditioning. Strength training, actually, most people just go to the gym for strength training, but strength and conditioning enhances your fitness, improves your mobility, agility, health, okay, movements, fundamental movement, things like that. So we have strength training where we actually use the weight for force production, and also we have conditioning now that involves running, jumping, and this captures all the energy systems. That's the lactic, the anaerobics, and aerobics. So when you hear strength and conditioning, those are two different things. So a strength and conditioning coach is someone who's qualified to do both. Okay? And when you're doing strength training, it has to be transferable. Whatever you are doing in the gym must be purposeful. So you can't do a strength and conditioning which is not transferable to what the expected results. So the strength training and the strength and conditioning, those are two different things. So strength and conditioning as a long-term development pathway as a subject in it. So let's understand the difference. So aims and goals for youth fitness, acquiring increased movement skills and enhancing physical fitness through increased physical activity. So the word is physical activity. So these young ones should move, should jump, should turn, should twist, bend, things like that. That's actually strength and conditioning. Okay? It has to be timed, and also it has to be monitored, and it has to be progressed. Utilizing effective physical fitness and education to positively influence both the cognitive and affective development of children. Okay, so there's a lot that is involved when you're training the kids. So you must understand both the cognitive and affective development of children. So we're going deeper into that later. Then we have the goal down there, to become a physically educated person. So the aim of training kids is also to pass the knowledge to them. They need to understand why you are training them. Okay, the reason you're doing all the stuff or giving them stuff to do. So they need to be enlightened. They need to be told, we are working out, we are doing this because of ABCD. We want you to be faster, we want you to be stronger, we want to be mobile and agile. Okay, to develop a lifelong habit of regular physical activity. Yes, exactly. So it should have a chronic effect on a child's growth and pathway. It's not something that should be done today and abandoned. It's something that should be long-term and also something that they look forward to every day. To make fitness fun. Okay, when you're training kids, when you're training young ones, it has to be fun. So this is where we talk about colors, we talk about yellow, blue, and we have the cones out there. Okay, so most of the kids, they can identify the difference between the sun, moon, and the stars. So the same should apply when you're working out with them. They should have those different colors displayed down on the floor, so that one will make it fun for them. They should be encouraged. Okay, they should not be looking at the fitness and the activities as a punishment. Okay, the long-term athletic development pathway introduction. So the long-term athletic development pathway was introduced by Dr. Istvan Bali in the 1990s. And the reason why he brought it up and the research was done was to enhance youth and children development in sports. So let's get this. To enhance youth and children development in sports. So this is what strength and conditioning coaches have transformed into fitness regimes and routines for the young ones. So you cannot develop or enhance sports in youth if you don't understand the fitness, what's called the program design and implementation. So it starts somewhere. It starts in the gym, it starts in the field, it starts somewhere. Then serves as a flexible guideline. The bigger picture here is serves as a flexible guideline for coaches and administrators to improve youth and children's technical, tactical, and physical skills while emphasizing player-centered approach. So we have a word there, a player-centered approach. Just you can replace it with a child-centered approach. Yeah. So youth and children's technical, tactical, and physical skills. So That's what long-term athletic development pathway is. And you can see it serves as a flexible guideline for coaches. Flexible guideline. So with the guideline, it means you can pick what is good for you and you can put aside things that are not working for you. So this is just a general guideline that is being used out there. And this is what we're using as strength and conditioning coaches. So key principles of long-term athletic development pathway. As you come down, you can see time for development. Okay, there's time. It should be time-based. It should have a time frame. So time for development. Developing a youth or child's potential takes time. We need to understand that it takes time. With a focus on a 10-year rule. Okay, for regular practice, this is a guideline for those aiming for high achievement, not a requirement for casual players or casual children. So there's what's called the rule of thumb, 10 years rule. It's everywhere in every profession, even doctors. To be good doctors, it takes about 10 years, the rule of thumb, or what's called the 10,000 hours. So actually, it translates to about 3 hours to 4 hours of practice a day. And that's why we have top sprinters out there at the age of 18, 16. We have top footballers at the age of 16, 17. So you are coming from Kenya, or I'll just give an example with Kenya, where we identify mostly the talent from the age of 16 in Form 2 or Form 3. It means you've met so many faces. You're not going to compete with these people out there. They've been doing it for the last 10 years. So by the time a boy or a girl is 16 years out there in Europe, they have gone through the 10 years rule. They have gone through all the phases of development age. So we need to understand that. Then enjoyment, ensuring youth and children have fun while developing fundamental movements and technical skills is crucial for their growth. So as you develop the fundamental movement skills, you must also ensure that they're having fun. Quite important. Avoid early specialization. There's no way you're going to take a 6-year-old kid to start squatting with a bar. You can still use the broomsticks, you can use pipes, okay? You can use the body weight squats, you can give them slam balls, 2 kgs to squat with, holding them on your chest. So, okay, you need to understand that avoid early specialization. This can hinder fundamental skill development and lead to burnout. So early specialization can actually lead to burnout, and also maybe kids get bored because there are no challenge. Youth and children should engage in multiple sports during their early years. So this is very important. It's an example of where I work, where swimming is a crazy stuff. So you find that a kid has been from 6 years swimming. Good kids, by the time they reach 14, they get bored because it's been swimming for about 6, 7 years. They've not been getting involved with other sports, like maybe netball, rounders, stuff like that. So you find that these kids get bored by the age of 14. They have not enjoyed life across other sports. They have not ventured out of swimming into other sports. So always, as you can see, encourage kids to get involved in multiple sports. Then we have the social context awareness. Coaches must understand the social environment of the youth and the children and recognize the mental, cognitive, and emotional development stages throughout the athlete's journey. Okay? So we must understand mental, cognitive, and emotional development stages throughout the athlete's journey. It's not your job or your duty to stress the kids with a lot of information and the technical stuff when they're growing up. So let them enjoy it, let them not be stressed. Okay, let's go up, step of reflection. Okay, so as you can see, the picture there, that's Becky Kamau. This is a kid I trained from 6 years old. And this was 2014 in Glasgow Commonwealth, so at the age of 15. So the 10 principle, then within the long-term athletic development pathway, we do have the 10 principles that defines the long-term athletic development pathway. So the 10 principles that underpin any model and allow reflection on its strengths and limitations. Reflecting on each of these principles will allow us to consider the positive elements and the gaps that may exist in the long-term athletic development approach. So just to remind you again, that's Becky Kamawa, Kenya, and that was the age of 15 in 2014 at Glasgow. So these are kids that had trained with me from 6 years old when she was 6, and by the age of 15, she was in the Commonwealth in Glasgow in 2014. So let's go down, Mr. Gola. Okay, so as you can see, those are the 10 principles that defines the long-term athletic development pathway. So number 1 up there, we're going clockwise. We have the 10-year rule. Then number 2, we have the fundamental physical literacy. We are going to discuss that deeper. We have specialization. We're going to discuss that. We have the development age as your number 5 there, somewhere there. And we have the windows of opportunity that comes during the adolescent, the peak height velocity. Then we have the number 7 down there, the mental, cognitive, and emotional development, as you can see. And we have the periodization. We're not going to go up there much, but then also we have system alignment and integration. System alignment and integration just means you must align with the various bodies, various organizations. You must align if there's a PE staff in school. They must also understand what you're doing with the kids. The parents must also know what actually you are working out with the kids. So that's what's called the system alignment and integration, and also making creating a bigger family. Okay, then we have up there number 8, the competition. We'll discuss that in various stages. Then we have the continuous improvement. That's number 9. Okay, let's go down, Mr. Gold. So long-term athletic development pathways should accommodate for the highly individualized and non-linear nature of the growth and development of youth. So non-linear nature of the growth and development of youth. So in a nutshell, we are talking about not so structured. So that's what you mean by non-linear. It's not just straight thing with them. So bring fun, take them out, okay? Take them in the forest, okay? Take them to the monkey bars. So just make something out of it. Just let them have fun. Youth of all ages, abilities, and aspirations should engage in long-term athletic development programs that promote both physical fitness and psychological well-being. You can see that, youth of all ages. All youth should be encouraged to enhance physical fitness from early childhood with a primary focus on motor skill and muscular strength development. Okay, motor skill and muscular strength development. Talk about motor, we're talking about things like coordinations, talking about the neurons growth, we're talking about the skeletal mass, all those stuff. Okay, these pathways should encourage an early sampling approach for youth that promotes and enhance a broad range of motor skills. So which means they'll be testing, screening, yes, such stuff. Let's go down, Mr. Gwela. Health and well-being of the child should always be the central tenet of long-term athletic development programs. So health and well-being of the child should participate in physical conditioning that helps reduce the risk of injury to ensure their ongoing participation in long-term athletic development pathway programs. So they should not get injured. If they get injured, they get bored. Long-term athletic development programs should provide all youth with a range of training models to enhance both health and skill-related components of fitness. So when you're talking about component of fitness, we're talking about agility, range of movement, we're talking about strength, power, okay? So components of fitness. So they should have this, slowly progress them into that. Coaches should use relevant monitoring and assessment tools as part of a long-term athletic development strategy. So give them 40 meters dash, give them eye-hand coordination, give them simple slam ball throws, standing long jump test. Monitor that every 8 weeks. You can give them simple tests just to encourage them to work hard. Coaches working with youth should systematically progress and individualize training programs for successful long-term athletic development program. So working with youth should systematically progress and individualize. So there's a time you'll bring the group fitness with these kids. There's a time that they need to be individual. And also it has to be systematic, progressed. Don't rush it out. Don't be over ambitious with them. So those are things also we need to note down. Let's go, Mr. Gola. So the 10-year rule or the 10,000 hours, you can see that. The concept of 10-year or 10,000 hours requirement for elite athletes. So for athletes, as I said, up there for them to be successful, the 10-year rule or the 10,000 hours. So then further promoted by, so these are the researchers who came up with it. So the first one was came up by a guy called Erickson, 1993. Then the second one, Mr. Bali, that came later on. Then they stated that scientific research has concluded that it takes 8 to 12 years of training for talented players, athletes, to reach elite levels. So that was a research, and we are just going through it again. In practical terms, translate to 3 hours, more than 3 hours of physical practice daily for 10 years. Let's get that. And this is where we go wrong, okay? Because most of our schools in Kenya, they're not sports academies, so we have a problem with this. So to come up with quite good athletes at the age of 16, 17, 18 takes time. That's why mostly we identify our athletes by the age of 21 or 22. So by the age of 21, 22, out there, most of athletes are investing. Okay, here in Africa or in Kenya, that's the age of we are trying to actualize with them. So it's quite challenging, as you can see from the 10,000 hours or the 10 years rule. Then some elite performers do make it by actually not accumulating the magical number. So as I say, that's a general guideline. So you might find some athletes out there that actually talented, they just need 6 years, 5 years, and they're done. Okay, so let's go into number 2 of the 10 principles, fundamental physical literacy. So in its various forms, during the early childhood, the researchers content that the fundamental movement skills are honed at their level of development will subsequently influence later performance. So if you don't capture the right fundamental movement skills within certain ages, then actually you're not going to get it up there. So it has to be captured. The fundamental movement skills must be captured as early enough for you to have a later stage top performance. Yeah. So this is where we are now. So physical literacy redefined. In order for children to become physically educated, focus must be placed on developing each child as a total integrated being. Now get this right. In order for children to become physically educated, focus must be placed on developing each child as a total integrated being. So this is where we bring the age appropriate, individual appropriate, and motor related. So when the kids are being trained, where they're being developed, yes, we tend to have them in the groups, but you should be in a position as a coach to identify individual weaknesses, strengths, and work on them. So look at a kid as an individual, okay? And this is where at times we go wrong when we put them in the group. I've seen out there most of the time, sorry to say this, in football academies that we have around, or maybe sports academies, you find that kids are just pushed in to push the ball, take the ball, hit it right and left. So actually when they come out, it's more of like passing time for the parents. So we need to understand that as coaches, we need to treat these kids individually. So we need to understand motor-related, cognitive, and affective. These are the things that should define how we train the kids, how we work with them. So down there, you can see it's written, although motor development is age-related, it's not age-dependent. So what it means is that you might have a 12-year-old who has physical attributes that can make him do workouts designed or defined for the 15 years old. So you are not going to put this kid down because he's 12. Okay? But again, you might also have a 15-year-old child who still has physical attributes of a 12-year-old, not highly developed, not age-appropriate, developed at 15. So don't judge this kid. Don't push him away or start asking them, what are you doing? Look at your age mates. Quite embarrassing and quite demotivating for the young child. So get back that again. Although motor development is age-related, it's not age-dependent. So here is the reason why you should look at a kid as an individual. A 10-year-old kid who can do a 40 meters dash under 5 seconds, and we have a 15-year-old child who still does 40 meters dash under 6 seconds. So don't judge. So and don't keep this 10-year-old kid who has physical attributes of a 14, 15-year-old down. Okay. Then successful programming must be both individually appropriate and age group appropriate. Okay, so when you're doing this, also compare what the kid needs to, where he needs to be with his age mates and also the group set up out there. So you need to have research, you need to have platforms for reference. You need to understand where they need to be as a group, where it needs to be as individual first, and also what other kids in his age group are doing. So we need to understand that. Then the third one there is create a place in which children can learn to move. Create a place in which children can learn to move, as well as learn through movement by performing activities. So there are different factors here. We have children can learn to move, a place in which children can learn to move, as well as learn through movement by performing activities based on sound principles of child development, yet grounded in their own needs, interests, and unique abilities. Let's get this right. Create a place in which children can learn to move, as well as learn through movement by performing activities based on sound principles of child development, yet grounded on their own needs, interests, and unique abilities. So children need to be free. They need to move. They need to turn. They need to, there's a lot of things that need to do with them in a free environment. If you go down there, you can see I'm having some sessions just down under the motor domain. I'm having sessions in Nyao Stadium. So these are young kids. Some are 7, some are 8, 10, 11, 12. So why I like Nyao Stadium with them is that I can take my bands there. I can take my slam balls 3 kgs. I can, it's free. You can see they're enjoying fundamental movement skills. In the picture, we are doing some high knee conditioning drills. Look at the arms. So the instruction is, this is how you need to move with your arms. This is where your needs need to be as you move. So motor domain. movement skill acquisition. So train kids or young ones to acquire movement skills in regards to coordination, arms, legs, all those stuff. So movement skill acquisition is the development of motor control, precision, accuracy in the performance of both fundamental and specialized movement. So first you have to start basic, don't bombard them with lots of informations and instructions. If it's arm movement, let's train arms. If it's leg movement, let's train legs. If it's running skills, let the kids run fast, give them feedback later. This is where we need to be. At times they work better they understand better from the videos. You can review, take videos, show them, but also allow the parents to let the parents know that you're taking the videos of the kids because of the safeguarding and also what's called the child protection policies. So don't just go out there and take videos. If you're working with the kids in the gym, please don't just take your phone and start taking videos. Please ask the parents, whoever is in charge, I'll be taking the videos for your kids just to make you understand what you're doing and use it for a review. So fundamental movement phase. Now this is what the long-term athletic development pathway is. The period ranging from 2 to 7 years is generally considered the fundamental movement phase of movement skill acquisition. So you can see now we've been taken down to 2 to 7 years. It's generally considered the fundamental movement phase of movement skill acquisition. So this is why you can instruct the kids sit on that stool, stand up just to work on their squats without them knowing that they're working on squats, can give them simple water bottles, holding them on their chest, tell them to go down with it on a stool, come up, sit on this, lie down on your tummy, come up, run, things like that. So that's the time to really instill the fundamental movement skills. Okay? Can be categorized as either stability, get that, locomotor, or manipulative movements. So the fundamental movement phase. So this is where we bring the stability stuff, we bring locomotor and or manipulative movement. Stability movement skills, okay? Twisting, bending, lifting, balancing. So you can give the kids a balance board, let them twist to pick something, let them bend to pick something, let them lift something off the floor, run with it. So we're working on stability movement skills. So coaches, here we are, okay? The questions that have been out there about how do you go about training young kids in the gym? Actually, you don't need gym to train these young kids. You just need space. So look at that. Stability movement skills, e.g. twisting, bending, lifting, balancing. Okay? Then we have the locomotor movement skills. So make them jump, make them run, make them skip, leap. Okay? Locomotor movement skills, jumping, running, skip, leaping. So you can put them on a step, tell them to jump forward, okay? Make them run, pick something and back, put cones for them, tell them to run, squat and pick, run back and give it to you. Tell them to arrange them in a certain letter. You can tell them Y, T, you can bring those letters, and you can bring the alphabeticals. Then skipping, can give them ropes, simple ropes for them to jump on, can tell them to do A skips, basic ones, B skips, basic one, rudiment hops or the pogos, okay? Then manipulative movement skills. Now these were throwing, catching, kicking, striking. Can do all this in a gym without subjecting these small young ones into gym machines. So can make them throw simple medicine balls, 2 kgs, 1 kgs, catch, throw at them, let them catch, throw it back at you. Then kicking, striking, kicking, can give them simple stand on kickboxing bags. Yeah. Let's scroll up. So we've seen that we can start at 2 years old, going up to 7 years old. Then we have stages of fundamental movement. So the initial stage, children make the first observable and purposeful attempts at performing the task. Children make the first observable and purposeful attempts at performing the task. If you have a child at home, 2 years, 3 years, you can see them walking, bending, squatting down, picking something. So those actually should tell you someone is ready for something. So relatively crude, as you can see, relatively crude and coordinated movements. So you don't need to push them hard to refine it at that age. Encourage them to keep doing it repeatedly. Okay? So initial stage, then we have the elementary stage. So the initial stage is 2 to 3 years. Even at home, you'll see the toddlers doing all these things. Very crude, and you can also, from your observation, you can say this is going to be a good sports person. Okay? Then elementary stage, we have the coordination and rhythmic performance improve. So there's that improvement on that. Children gain greater control over movements. They start gaining greater control over movements. Okay, so that's age of 4 to 5, where they start having a greater control of movement. They're not staggering if they stand up. They can run without drifting sideways. Then the mature stage, that's characterized by the integration of all the component parts of movement into a well-coordinated, mechanically correct, and efficient act. So characterized by the integration of all the components, parts of movement into a well-coordinated, mechanically correct and efficient. So that's about 6 to 7. So 6 to 7, you will have good swimmers, you will have some good running skills from these young ones, maybe poor endurance, poor speed, but the skills will start showing up well. So we have specialized movement phase and we have stages of specialized movement phase. And that, as you can see there, so specialized movement phase, specialized movement skills are fundamental movement skills or a combination of fundamental movement skills that have been applied to the performance of a specific sport-related activity. Okay, so then we have stages. So specialized movement phase, where now they're squatting better, they can do some body weight lunges better, they can jump over small obstacles better. So that's where now slowly we start controlling them, coaching them, guiding them, let them have fun also. So stages of specialized movement. So transition 7 to 10 years. Now, coaches here and everyone who's involved with the kids or who needs to understand how the kids are trained. Let's get this clear. Transition 7 to 10 years. Instruct children to further refine specific fundamental movement and also use them as sport skills in a variety of skill drills and lead up activities. So this is where now you can bring skips, what, things like that, okay? Application 11 to 13, begin focusing. Get that right, begin focusing on competency. Competency is about just fitness literacy in particular sports, e.g. form precision, practicing of complex skills. So that's between 11 to 13. Then we have lifelong utilization. That's 14 years and above. Actually, out there in the developed world, they say by the age of 14, they have actually known who's going to be a good basketballer, who's going to be a good sprinter, who's going to be a good middle distance runner, and who's going to be a good footballer. That's why you can see in EPL teams, you have 16 years old joining the senior side. People like Fabregas did join the national side, the senior side at the age of 16, Messi, all those guys. So you can see lifelong utilization, that's 14 years and above out there. Whereas here in Kenya or in Africa, we've been grounded by the myth that these kids should not be trained. So that has really affected our growth, especially with the kids, even us guys who discovered their talents in Form 2 or Form 3. Okay, because we are not allowed even to venture out and do some other stuff. So you can see lifelong utilization out there, 14 years and above. So movement skill learning. Okay, our next one is movement skill learning. So we have the beginners or the beginning, then we have the intermediate, then we have the advanced. Okay, so we have movement skill learning. So the beginner, how do you start with them? Okay. So the traits we are looking at, we're going to train at the movement skill learning beginner stage. Movements are generally uncoordinated and jerky, overall poor performance. Children actively attempting to understand the general idea of the skill. They start attempting to understand the general idea of the skill. So introduce the main aspect of the skill at the beginners. Keep it brief. As I said, don't really bombard young ones with lots of skill, instructions, terms. Make it brief. Provide a demonstration to allow children to form a mental picture. Provide a demonstration to allow children to form a mental picture. Whether they have been with you over a year, keep demonstrating. And I say that with kids, if you get involved with training kids, you are going to be fit because every time you'll be demonstrating. And they tend to ask you, sir, what am I doing? Sir, what did you say? Sir, what's next? So keep it brief, keep demonstrating, let them have the mental picture. Allow the child to try the skill and to experiment, explore the skill. Allow them, because they'll start asking the question, sir, I saw this, sir, I saw this, can I do this? So allow them also to go out of the way and enjoy, and also just guide them and also make sure that you coach them well. So allow them. They'll ask you questions. They're young, they're growing. Their mind is full of everything. They go out there, they watch videos. So they start asking questions. They want to demonstrate what they've seen. You tell them 3 reps, they want to do 12. So just control it, guide them. Okay? Provide immediate, precise, and positive feedback. They like thumb up, high five, good stuff, awesome, brilliant. They like all those things. That's how the kids grow. Okay? Even if they don't do it well, just tell that was good, incredible. Okay, next time do it this way. Don't tell them, what have you done? What's that? I didn't instruct you that. Don't ever tell them that. Get the kids in the right mood all the time. Make sure they understand your language. If you give your feedback verbally, give it verbal, don't change. If you give it by the fingers, make sure you do it that way. Please don't change. Yeah? Then focus on the process of the skill and not so much the product of one's performance. Focus on the process of the skill, okay? The outcome, and not so much the product of the one's performance. So slowly take them through, okay? Let's go down again, Mr. Goza. Okay, so movement skills, learning intermediate, okay, characteristics, mental plan for performing. The skill has become more fully developed. So they start getting it mentally, see what long-term athletic development pathway can do. And this is a happy kid. He got a scholarship to the US, and that's actually what we call the reinvestment in the long-term athletic development pathway. So when you're talking about development age, motor development review, physically educated person applies movement and understand principle to the learning and development of motor skills. Cognitive learning is the progressive change in the ability to think, reason, and act. So now, if you may be wondering what's cognitive is, we've been mentioning it up there. Cognitive learning is the progressive change in the ability to think, reason, and act. So you must make these kids think, reason, and act. By providing children with the tools for critical thinking, cognitive concept learning uses movements, activities to aid in recall. Now they can recall what you told them, retention, okay? Stick to what the plan, decision making, and application. So once you train all this and allow them to grow, you'll find that the kids will now start having recall ability. They know what they did yesterday. They know what you told them to do today. They have retention ability. They can think. They can master the act. Okay? They can make decisions. Okay? And also apply. Ability to explore and problem solve is especially important for those children. So now they start exploring and able to solve the problems. themselves. If they don't jump well over the box, you can see them coming back themselves without you telling them, do it again. You just hear them say, sir, I did it wrongly. Let me do it again. Sir, I did on 11. The other one was not good. Let me do it again. Okay? So we have the cognitive concept component. So skill concept, how the body should move. That's fundamental movements, specialized movements. Then we have the activity concept. So we have skill concept, how the body should move. Then we have the activity concept, knowledge of where the body should move to. Okay? So they'll start understanding how the body needs to move and where it needs to move. Okay? Movement concept, how the body can move. Okay? How the body can move. It can move through running, it can move through walking, it can move through jumping. Okay? Knowledge of where the body should move. Now that's where you have the cons. Tell them to move to the other side, run, jump onto the other side. Okay? Then fitness concept, knowledge on how the body functions. And there we have the anatomical terms, we have the training principles, we have the physiological principles, and we have the nutrition, education, and information. So now this is the time you start being anatomical terms. You can tell them move laterally, move to the side, okay, abduct. Okay, then you follow up with abduct means take it out, things like that. Okay, academic concepts, knowledge reinforced through movement. So mathematics means they know reps, they know sets, they know meters, they know yards, they know height in terms of vertical measurements. Okay, science, you start making them understand the science behind physiology, things like that. Then social studies. Okay, so on the movement concept also we have effort awareness, pace awareness, and relationship awareness. Activity concept, under it we have the patterns and formations. So knowledge of where the body should move, now they have patterns and formations. That's how you can bring letters, you can bring obstacles, and rules and strategies comes in. Okay? Thanks, Mr. Gola. Let's scroll down. So affective domain, maybe someone or most of us might not understand it. I know all of us will understand it, but let's put it in the concept of fitness. So a physically educated person understands that physical activity provides opportunities for enjoyment, challenge, self-expression, and social interaction. Let the kids interact. Social interaction, self-expression, they can express themselves. For enjoyment and challenge. So let them enjoy, let them challenge themselves, let them self-express, and let them have social interaction. That's the affective domain. Affective domain growth is learning that increases the ability of children to act, interact, react effectively with other people as well as with themselves. So a well-trained kid will come up as a superhuman being. So let's understand this and the reason why we should not keep the kids at home, not to train. Okay, you can see the picture there. The boy down on the knees is 7 years old and surrounded by 13, 11, 12, and 14. So let's talk about the social interaction. Quite displayed there. Those are 7 years old training with 12, 13, 14, and 10. Let's go down. So components of positive self-concept, belonging, okay? Feeling valued and accepted as a part of a group. If you look at that picture up there, 7 years old, went down and now felt like he belongs to the group because everyone came for him. Worthiness, feeling deserving and valued in terms of contributions, ideas, and thoughts. It will challenge you. Please allow them to do so. Uniqueness, feeling of individuality in regards to fitness, skill level, motivation, body type. Perceived competence, self-evaluation of accomplishments, okay, success and self-confidence in bracket. Acceptance of self. Yeah, so we have realistic review of strength and weaknesses with regards to talents, behavior, and appearance and grades, okay? So they start understanding all this. Okay? Then the virtue, consistent moral code, okay, encompassing respect, fairness, caring, and responsibility. Responsibility and trustworthiness. So consistent moral, okay, respect, fairness, such things. So these are the things, the benefit of training young ones coming up to be better human beings in the world. Influential factors of effective growth, realistic goals, developing smart, smart, short, measurable, attainable. Then we have attainable or achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals in conjunction with the child. Allows for a stronger level of commitment and greater sense of ownership. Okay. Positive socialization occurs through cooperative learning, working with others to achieve a common goal. Okay. And positive group affiliation. Okay, so well-trained kids in groups, both individually and in group-based, such things will come out. Praise and encouragement. This occurs both internally, self-encouragement if they accomplish a task, as well as externally encouraging others. So they will uplift others. You can do it. Just go, let's run. Please don't stop, things like that. Okay? Let's go down. So rapport and communication. Rapport is the foundation of being an active listener, be empathetic, be aware of individual appropriateness. So you build rapport both ways, okay? So you listen to them, they listen to you, okay, empathize with them, be aware of the individual appropriateness, okay? Let's go down. So nonverbal communication. So these are things you need to understand when you're dealing with the kids, the young ones. So what children see, nodding, clapping, thumbs up, high five, cheering, waving, a pat on the back. Children hear, good work, that's great. Keep trying, you're doing terrific. Don't give up, all right, way to go, okay? So please understand those. The verbal communication, get their attention. Okay, when you're doing verbal communication, first get their attention. Stand in a place where you can make eye contact with all the students or the children. Utilize predetermined signals, e.g. blowing, whistle, or hands on the head. Project your voice so that everyone can hear you. Provide clarity, concise instructions, get them moving. Utilize keywords and phrases to summarize. So they should know your words. Check for summarize demonstration, tell, show, do. Check for understanding, allow children to ask questions along the way. So that allows you to know if they really understood or they understand the instructions that are coming their way. Okay. Then we have provide feedback. Do so immediately following performance. Utilize the sandwich approach. Focus on correcting one error at a time. Okay. Then encourage the child to improve by continuing to practice outside of structured time. So you can give them some homework to go and do. In school, I want you to do this and this. Tell the parents to guide them at home. You can tell them do wall sprints at home and take a video and send it to me. So try to encourage them to do them outside the structured place. Okay. So tell, show, do. Provide a short, clear explanation of the skill. What's the skill and why it's important. Emphasize safety, information, guidelines for preventing injury. So when you're giving instructions, be clear with the instructions. Also tell them the other side, the negative side, if they don't get the instructions right. Allow them to take you through what they have seen from what you've done or what you've demonstrated. Demonstrate while explaining the skill. Focus on the goal of the movement. Demonstrate skill accurately and allow time for children to watch. Okay? Allow children time to watch. Okay, allow time for focused practice. Okay, have the children perform the motor skill, observe and provide feedback. You can tell them to do it, then observe, then let them move. Okay, allow time for focused practice. Have children perform the motor skill, observe and provide feedback. Perfect practice makes perfect. Okay, now this is the problem. Down there we have the physiological considerations when training children. Okay, and we have a triangle there. We have the thermo, at the top we have the thermoregulatory, then we have the respiratory, and we have the cardiovascular. Okay, if you look at the triangle, so these are things that you need to consider when you're training kids. Okay, okay, so now if you start with the youth respiratory system, compared to adults, youth have small lungs. They have smaller lungs, so that now make you understand how you can move them. Take in less air, oxygen per breath, tidal volume, have higher respiration rates at sub-maximal exercise levels. So these kids are going to hyperventilate at a sub-maximal intensity. So you need to be careful when you're training them, things that you need to understand about the respiratory system. They have smaller lungs, take in less air, oxygen per breath, and also have higher respiration rates at sub-maximal exercise level. So don't train them intensely. Monitor their breath, okay? Then youth can get winded. Let's get right more easily, increasing the importance of interval-based workouts and rest periods. So encourage rest periods. We have some kids who are extremely fit and who are extremely active. You'll find them in your class. And at times they can be a problem, but always be the boss. Allow them to rest and tone them down. Okay, youth cardiovascular system that you need to understand while dealing with them. Compared to adults, youth have small hearts, okay, not well developed. Hearts deliver less blood per beat, stroke volume. Okay, stroke volume is the one ventricle contraction per second that gives us the cardiac output. Okay, so we need to understand that the ventricle contraction in a second that gives us the cardiac output in maybe in a minute. Then have lower cardiac output down there, stroke volume times the heart rate at any given heart rate. Youth have higher heart rate rates at sub-maximal exercise level. So you need to consider that when you're training them. Okay, let's go to thermoregulatory system. Compared to adults, youth sweat glands are less developed. So they might not be sweating and you're thinking they are not really feeling the workout, yet the damage is being done. So be careful. Always try to feel the heat on the skin and be appropriate to their fitness and recovery intervals. Okay, are activated at higher temperature. So also where you train them, extreme heat, also you need to be careful with that. Produce less sweat, a sweat gland, you need to know that. So like number 2, are activated at higher temperature. So encourage them to drink more water or sip. Result in lower sweat rates per unit of surface area. So those are things you need to understand when you're training youth. So youth are at an increased risk for heart-related illness. They need scheduled rest and hydration breaks. You can get that conclusion. So watch that out when you're training them. Don't be overambitious with them. Then we have the windows of opportunities. This is actually in the growth part. So you need to understand the adolescence pathway, the adolescent awkwardness, the peak height velocity, especially between 9 to 14, 15 years for the boys, 14 for the girls. It refers to sensitive periods of development where certain training emphasis may be more effective. So especially when they reach that adolescent stage, we need to now know them better because the adolescence awkwardness creeps in. You hear them saying, oh, my bones, I'm feeling pain on my joints, things like that. Then there's a lot of immobility, imbalances creeping in. So you can now bring balances, stability, mobility, and flexibility drills for them at that age. So coaches may focus too much on specific training during these windows rather than providing well-rounded training. So now you need to go out of your way to understand the windows of opportunities, what's happened to them, especially the kids with the peak height velocity, higher rate of peak height velocity. You need to understand them and now bring more that can help them grow as better kids. Okay, children may and young athletes can benefit from properly planned and supervised strength and conditioning programs at all ages, not just during the windows also. Evidence suggests that long-term resistance training for teenagers can improve strength, power, and ongoing movement improvement. The development patterns for physical qualities in females and females during adolescence is as follows. Let's go up. So for females, key areas are speed, skills, suppleness, PHV, the peak height velocity, stamina, and strength. For males, key areas are suppleness, stamina, skills, speed, and strength. So you find that for the female, you can start from 6 to 7. For the boys, you can start from 9. Remember, boys get into adolescence late, stay longer than their opposite gender. The girls get in faster and they never stay into it longer. So we need to understand that. Both genders have a rate of growth pattern across the chronological and development age. We need to understand they have different patterns, with the girls pulling height faster than the boys during that time. All fitness components are trainable at all stages of development. With appropriate programming, teenagers aged between 13 and 19 can be physically and emotionally ready for well-designed resistant training. Now you can bring them up, add resistance, add weight, things like that, okay? And long-term model highlights agility, speed, power, and strength as important physical qualities. So don't be one-dimensional coach. You must bring everything into the basket. Yeah, all the components of fitness, agility, speed, power, range of movement, cardiovascular endurance, all this stuff. Don't just be squat, chest press, all those stuff. Kids will like that. Teenagers will like that. They just want arms and chest. But you as a coach, you're the boss. You need to understand that you have to bring everything into the basket. So periodization actually means just having a program that's working, that can be used as a standard measure on your progress. It can have a 6 month period, 4 months period, 3 months period. You can have a macro cycle, which is the larger part of it. Maybe you have with kids, you don't need to go a year. You can do macro cycles of 6 months, then meso cycles of 3 months, that's the half macro cycle. Then your microcycles, 2 weeks, or 1 week, which means you have to record their jumps, you need to record their long jumps, high jumps, you need to record their reps in the gym. They were doing 12 reps with 5 kgs. Now they can do 15, 16 with, things like that. So, and when you do that, you have to give feedback to the parents so that you be on the same page with them. They understand what's happening with their kids, okay? Yes, we can scroll down. So system alignment and integration, okay? So just a model there. You can see my friend Moto is around. Moto, I know you understand this. And please, you have any question, I'll be ready to take them in a few. So system alignment and integration. So the long-term athletic development model is summed as stage. There's a fun stage that's 8 to 12 years. So player plays, so more activities involving playing. Then coach guides. So your job is to guide. Then content learning to move, basic fundamental moves, e.g. squats. Then we have development stage, okay, where the player explores. So they let the children explore. We've discussed it up there. Now you come in to teach and also learning to train. So they start learning to train, how to train. So they can read the programs, you can sit back and watch them doing it. Then we have the participation stage, where now age grade is 15 to 18. So they start focusing, and also the coach now you bring challenges. So if they were jumping on a 60 feet box, now you can bring 75. If they're doing 30, so start challenging them. If they're squatting with a 15 kg bars, empty bar, you can bring 18 kgs bar. If they were slamming 6 kg slam ball, you can give them 10 kg slam ball, reduce the reps, so you're challenging. So stage preparation, that's 1721. You can see the specialized, now the specialization comes in, coach facilitates, and the content reaching full potential. Yeah. Stage performance, that's 20 and over. So they innovate, okay, and the coach empowers. Consistency, that's the content, consistency of performance. Then reinvestment, age, any, that's 21 and above. Most of the top performers will start reinvesting. It doesn't mean bringing back money or building some stuff, but also empowering and also coaching others, okay, talk shows, workshops, just to let people know how they started, where they are from. That's form of reinvestment, okay? So, as you say down there, the overly research long-term development model highlights the importance of that, okay? I think that's been repeated. You can scroll it down and can say thank you for listening and taking your time. And I'll be ready for any question and guide you as well. I have some coaches in the house. I have Moto. I know Moto understands this well. I have Bobo Gutu. He understands this well. I know any coach who understands this, you can all have constructive answers and questions. Let's go on. Thanks, Mr. John Ogola.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. John.
Okay. Thank you so much for your presentation. I believe we all learned something about the long-term athlete development, and at this juncture, I would just request if there's anyone with any question or need any clarification from you, they are free to air there or come on the floor. Thank you. Any questions or any clarifications? Yes.
Well, I have two questions.
Kindly go ahead.
Hi, my name is Coach Eddie. I'm based in Machakos, and I want to start a set of football training programs, and we really don't have SNC coaches out here. Would it be advisable to start with a CrossFit coach?
I think CrossFit is CrossFit. Strength and conditioning is different. So maybe I can guide you on where to start from, you as an individual. I would rather you do it that way than CrossFit is quite different, because strength and conditioning has to be specific and transferable to the pitch. Because there's a strength and conditioning in the gym. There's strength training in the gym and conditioning in the field. So I fail to understand how a CrossFit coach will do conditioning in the field. Because now when you talk about conditioning in the field, we have the flow conditioning, we have the movement patterns, we have the agility, we have reactive agility training, we have explosive movement. So that's where now the specificity comes in. So strength and conditioning is sport-specific training. So there's a big difference. There's a huge difference between CrossFit and strength and conditioning.
All right. Question 2. Will we have access to download your presentation? Because I really liked it.
Thanks, bro. I think you love it, Mr. Kola.
Yeah, I've just typed. We'll share the video recording and the notes via our resources page in the website once it's edited and yeah.
All right. Finally, are you on LinkedIn? Because I'd really like to either follow or just connect to you.
Yes, I am.
All right. If you could share your link, I'd really appreciate that. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you.
In case you didn't get a direct invitation from us, Sportswave, you can share your number in the chat box so that we can add you in the group. So when we have other presentations or future presentations, you can always get the link directly. Otherwise, I would like to thank all the participants and more so the presenter, Jeff, for having done this, and we hope to have more such. And in case if you have anyone whom you think or feel can also give us present to us on any particular field in sports, kindly share their contacts so that we reach out, and as coaches we can always learn from each other. Otherwise, thank you so much. And Jeff, if you would like to say something before we bring this to a close, you are most welcome.
Okay, thanks to everyone for this, for sitting down, taking your time to listen for this presentation. It's just a start. So actually, let's go out there and understand the difference between strength and conditioning and gym training. Okay, I'll say I'm not bragging, sorry to say that, but I can say we are few. And we are so many also, the guys who say I'm a strength and conditioning coach. But in actual sense, the certified strength and conditioning coaches are few in Kenya. I think we are hardly 10. We have a couple of them in rugby, but mostly rugby-based strength and conditioning. Then we have few who have come out to do national strength and conditioning or other bodies out there. I'm always free to share, guide you if you're out there, and make you understand what strength and conditioning protocols entails. Okay? And in brief, what you need to understand is that when you're dealing like the Masaku guy from Machakos, the football coach, things you need to understand is that with the football, you need to create what you call the periodization, start with assessments, then go to assessments, mob screening, and coming with injury prevention measures, corrective workouts for imbalances and deviations of the muscle. Then from there, you create a program that now brings strength, power, and maybe hypertrophy based on the guys who are small. Then now that's where you can bring speed, things like that. So once you work with that, then now the ball work comes in. So you as a strength and conditioning coach, now you'll come do warm-ups, and in between now, work out just to maintain the fitness level of your players. So that's how strength and conditioning work. So most of the strength and conditioning coaches are not just gym coaches, they're gym and outfield coaches. Okay, so that's what it entails. Let's understand that. And at times you say we are people, we work you in a way that you don't understand, but things that will work out for you. So that's our motto. We do work you in a way that you don't understand. For the things you're not aware of, but the results will be there and you'll be happy. Thanks, everyone. Feel free to engage, and please subscribe to Sportswave. I'll be honest with you to tell you that Mr. Gola is so resourceful, and please disturb him as much as you can. He's very resourceful. Disturb him. Don't let him go. Don't let his phone be silent all the time. Please keep him busy. He's a very resourceful man. Thank you, Mr. Gola. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, Jeff. I've shared my number in the group chat. And as you've said, yeah, we have so many resources that we can always share, or even contacts or networks that can be of help. At the moment, we have a partnership with the National Association of Sports Medicine from the US for those who are involved in fitness training, personal training, or would like to take nutritional training and other courses, fitness courses. We can link you up. Of course, they are sold. In case you want more information about that, you can reach me. I've shared my contact, or even through Jeff. Otherwise, thank you guys for making time for this, and we hope to see you next time. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Inia.
Thank you so much for your time and your presentation. Unless there's nothing burning, let me bring this to an end, and you guys enjoy your evening.
Let me just share my number with them before we leave.